Yes, good evening, good afternoon, depending on the area that you are. Uh, Today we are going to discuss about cyber attack life cycle resiliency. And as we know that when we join this organization, we need to understand the cyber information and any other information so that we are in a better position to be able to undertake our duties as pertain to the different areas that we work in. So first, we are going to look at the presentation layout. And first, we're going to do an introduction. Then I'm going to take you through the 8 stages of cyber kill chain to prevent an attack. Then we're going to ask ourselves, what are the potential motives that satisfy the mission of an attack? Because there are motives why attack takes place. Is it for financial gain? Is it for brand damage? Or is it for system access? So we need to also to understand that as a team. Then we are going to look at the different application of cybersecurity life cycle, cybersecurity frameworks and methodologies to establish a cybersecurity program that supports an organization strategic and business initiative. Then after that, we're going to look at the sources of information. So without much ado, we are going to do the introduction. And when we look at cyber resilience strategy, is very paramount for business continuity. It can provide benefits beyond increasing an enterprise's security posture and reducing the risk of exposure to its critical infrastructure. While on the other hand, cyber resilience also helps to reduce financial losses and reputation damage within the organization. Then we are looking at the cyber kill chain, and here is a diagram looking at all those stages that are involved with a summary on the first one, and that is reconnaissance. Then we have weaponization, we have delivery, we have exploitation, we have installation, we have command and control, then we have actions and objectives, then finally we have infiltration. So looking at this, when we talk of reconnaissance, the attackers acquire information about the target location and security gaps and vulnerabilities which can be exploited within that organization. That's the first step. Then they go to weaponization. What do we mean when we talk about weaponization? The attacker creates a malware and always to exploit when they found vulnerability, then they're able now to do what? To attack. Then the third point, when you talk of delivery, what do we mean? The attacker delivers malware to the organization systems. Then we come to exploitation. What do we mean by when we talk of exploitation? Using an identified vulnerability in the system to execute malicious code provided by the attacker. Then we have installation, which is installing the malware. Then we have now command and control, where the attacker uses the command console to remotely execute commands on the attacker computer. And on this, there are a lot of information that we also need to understand. And when we do this, there's also that's the looking at describe the steps that should be taken at each of those 8 stages of the cyber kill chain to prevent an attack. It's very important for you to understand that. Then looking at one by one reconnaissance, as what we said in the previous page, this is when an attacker gathers information about an organization network to identify potential targets and vulnerabilities. To prevent an attack, organizations should employ a comprehensive security strategy that includes monitoring usual network activity, implementing access control measures, and patching any unknown vulnerability. And there we have a source of information. Then the second is about weaponization. As said earlier on, in the weaponization stage, attackers may use malicious code, malware, or other techniques to exploit the identified vulnerability. So organizations should be able to undertake security measures in place to detect and prevent malicious code from coming to the organization's network. Additionally, they should also use antiviruses regularly to patch any identified vulnerability, and so that at the end of the day, the network is safe. Then looking at delivery. During the delivery stage, what happens? Attackers will attempt to deliver their malicious payload to the target. Then we look at exploitation. What do we mean when we talk of exploitation? In the exploitation stage, attackers will attempt to gain access to the target system by exploiting any known vulnerability. So the organizations should be able to control their systems regularly, undertake patching, do vulnerability testing, ensure that everything is addressed promptly. Additionally, they should also implement strong measures and deploy advanced intrusion detection system. Then installation. During this installation stage, attackers will attempt to install backdoors, rootkits, or other malicious softwares on target systems. So we also need to understand that. What do we need to do as an organization to ensure that we are safe? Looking at hosting-based firewalls, sandboxing, and all that to prevent the installation of any malicious software. Then command and control. What happens at this stage? In the command and control stage, attackers will attempt to gain control of the target system. So organizations should have robust access control measures to ensure that these do not happen. Then action on objectives. During the actions on objective stage, attackers will attempt to execute their malicious activity on the target. So we also need to understand this. And then lastly, we have infiltration stage. Attackers will attempt to steal data from the target system. Organizations should employ data encryption measures, access control measures, and so on, so that at the end of the day, we are safe. Then we are looking at those potential motives. What are the potential motives that usually satisfy the mission of attackers, including financial gain, brand damage, system access, and all that? And when we look at financial gain, this is the most common motive for attackers as they seek to make a profit through the sale of stolen data or ransomware payments. And when you look at the second one, another motive is about brand damage. This is another popular motive as attackers seek to damage an organization's reputation. So we also need to understand this. Then we have system access. This is also common motive as an attacker seek to gain access to the organization systems in order to steal data or disrupt the operations of that organization. So we need to understand. Then when we go to application of cybersecurity life cycle, cybersecurity framework and methodology to establish a cybersecurity program that support an organization strategy and business initiative. So we also need to understand, and first I'm looking at risk identification. Cybersecurity life cycle is an iterative process that includes identifying potential threats, assessing vulnerabilities, and develop a security strategy to mitigate any identified risk. So organizations should use the cybersecurity life cycle to identify any potential threats, assess their vulnerability, and develop a comprehensive security strategy. So then the second one is about establish policy and procedures. When you have that, you can be able to establish policies and procedures. Use the cybersecurity framework to establish policies and procedures that will ensure the security of the organizations and data systems. The cybersecurity framework is a set of best practices and guidelines that organizations should use to develop and implement security policies and procedures. So all that. Then the other one is risk management. We are able to do risk management. Utilize methodologies such as risk management, incident response, and security awareness training to ensure the security of the organization's data system. Risk management is the process of identifying and mitigating potential risks to an organization data system. And the other is incident response is the process of responding to and mitigate cyber threats, while securing awareness training is the process of educating user accounts, security protocols, best practice, and threat. So we need to understand that one. And the fourth one is about organization monitoring, because monitor the organization's network and system activity to detect and respond to any suspicious activity. So you're able to do that. And we have also the last one is development of incident response plan. So when you have that, you are able to develop and implement a robust incident response plan that outlines procedures for responding to and mitigate mitigating cyber threats, and all those information. And lastly, we have a list of references that we are able to put to you, so that if you have areas of clarification, you need any additional information, or you need any information that will make your work easier, fail not to ask, and I'll be able to give you more additional information. Otherwise, thank you very much and have a good afternoon. Otherwise, I'll also be able to share this information for your reference. Thank you and have a good afternoon.